Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for the podcast version of Trey's Variety Hour is brought to you by Cashfly at CACHEFLY.com.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the official start of the show. This is Trey's Variety Hour number 44. And today we're kind of following a sort of an old school formula. Dave, you gave me this idea, didn't you?
It was kind of a mutual idea. We both had the same idea.
I'm trying to give you credit here, Dave.
Oh, yeah.
I did it gracefully.
Yes.
Just say yes.
It was my genius level.
Yeah.
It's much better.
Yeah, so Dave's genius idea was just to have a hangout and just invite in people and see what happens. So that's kind of what we're doing today. And so we thought we'd kind of fill the room with interesting people and see what their projects are. And we're all going to share and do this kind of stuff. Later in the show, I'll do a little on-screen processing of some of these Aurora pictures. But that'll come later on. And then at the end, as always, we have these sort of Google Plus photographer discoveries where we'll show up a few people that we found and this and that. But anyway, let's go ahead and start mixing it up and first start with a round of introductions. People are coming to us, from all over the world. Let's start here with Fred. Hey, Fred, how are you?
I'm great. I knew you were going to start with me. Why do I always have to go first?
You're
so adorable.
I got to set the tone for everything. Come on. All right, I'll be quick. My name is Frederick Van Johnson. I am the host of a show called This Week in Photo, which Trey has been on a couple times. I'm a photographer. I'm a marketer. I'm a speaker. And I guess first in that list is photographer. I have photography and post-processing and all kinds of geek stuff in my blood, and that's what I do.
Excellent. Well, it's good to see you as always. Can't wait to hear what you're up to. You've always got a lot of irons in the fire. And another guy with a lot of irons in the fire here is Jared, coming to us live from Philly. What's up, Jared?
Not much. How are you doing today?
Good.
Or tonight, or wherever you are in the world?
Yes, it's about 2 o'clock here in the afternoon.
Middle Earth. Yeah. Well, thank you for having me on, by the way.
Oh, no, my pleasure. My pleasure.
There were a couple of readers of mine who kept badgering you for however long. I don't even know where that started, but they kept sending you message after message after message.
Yeah. You can call
nothing
up
to
your
do with
dogs
that.
now.
I didn't set them off on you, though, so.
No, I know you didn't. Actually, it's a funny story about that guy, Keenan. He's a very nice guy, of course, but this is sort of, I'll try to make this story short, I'm sorry. Well, actually, go ahead and finish introducing yourself and tell us where to find you, and then I'll tell this little story about your cat dog.
I'll just do my intro. Jared Polen, FroKnowsPhoto.com. And, here on the Hangout. You can find me, FroKnowsPhoto.com, and on the YouTube. And it's like youtube.com/Jared Polen.
Cool. And where can we get one of these shirts that you're wearing?
One of these that nobody has seen yet. This is a brand new one that came in yesterday. It's gold for the Olympics. You can go to store.froknowsphoto.com.
And has anyone ever worn a shirt like that to church? That would be a nice Sunday accoutrement.
I'm sure somebody has. I would try to do that. I've worn it to weddings underneath, but,
Yeah. So here's the story about this attack dog of yours, unofficial attack dog for Jared Polen. So this guy named Keenan, so many years ago, my wife, I was at my wife's house, and she has a brother, and he had this friend over named Keenan Adams, really, really nice guy. And we kind of got to be friends just because we're always together. We played video games, and super nice guy, and he kind of went dark for a long time. And then many years later, he started tweeting me and sending emails and this sort of thing. I thought, oh, yeah, he's really into photography. And so I was, really nice back to him and and was kind of helping him along or answering questions. And because you know what it's like, you just get so many emails, you can't deal with all of them. But this is a guy I actually knew, so we kind of emailed each other back and forth. It got to be this big thing. And then finally one day I clicked on him, and it was a totally different guy. So I had accidentally befriended someone that is a total stranger. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway,
Wow.
he is a nice guy. Okay. Let's keep going with introductions. Keith from the Vidcast Network. How are you, Keith?
Fine, Trey. How are you doing?
Good.
Yeah, I'm Keith Barrett. I'm a computer programmer and analyst over at the Walt Disney Company and the operator of vidcastnetwork.com, where I live stream Google Plus Hangouts and other shows. And I'm an amateur photographer whose project right now is the photo hunt that's going on with Krista Ray.
All right, excellent. She was on 2 or 3 shows ago about the scavenger hunt. That was a great one. Right? Yeah. People watched that one. Next is Tony Wang. Hey, Tony.
Hey, Trey. How are you doing?
I am good. How are things over there?
Good. I'm Tony from TWiT, and I'm sort of the in-house amateur photographer person here, I guess. So
cool. And you're wearing a competing T-shirt with the for all these photographers that sell T-shirts online, which is fine. I don't happen to do that myself, but it's fine. It's a fine practice. But you are wearing the Bokalicious T-shirt.
I am. Yeah, this is from Digital Rev TV, and they also have a YouTube channel and website, and they do a lot of very fun camera reviews, and people sort of compare their style to like Top Gear, but I think it's mostly because of the accents. But yeah, I'm a big fan. So
yes, well, there's no reason you guys can't own 2 T-shirts each. By the way, this is that.
I'm just curious if that thing is legitimately trademarked or not.
I think they actually did trademark it. So
yes, but it's trademarked in Hong Kong, so it's very.
That's what I'm curious about. Not saying I would redo it. I'm just saying trademark law is a whole different Google Hangout, but it's total crap for the most part.
Yeah, that's true. I agree. But I also do shoot raw, so just yeah.
Yes, you do. I'm enjoying. You're still posting your photos from your trip on Google Plus, so thanks for that.
Yeah, I actually shot an HDR for the first time ever, but I haven't gotten around to process it yet. So
yeah, actually, it's kind of nice, isn't it? After you go on a trip and then you just keep sharing the photos for a long time after, it's sort of the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, exactly.
It's nice.
Yeah,
and actually,
some people know about that.
Yeah, it's sort of it's sort of an unexpected thing nowadays that you can kind of keep experiencing the trip for many months or years afterwards. It's kind of fun. Okay, and next is a 2-for-1 over here. Another photography power couple, Varina and Jay Patel. Lest you be confused, Varina is the one on the left.
Another cute one.
Yeah. He's the cute one. Isn't he adorable? His old cheeks. You go ahead.
I'm Jay Patel. It's very easy to find me. Just Jay Patel in any search engine anywhere on the internet. I'll come up. I'm an amateur photographer. I really am an amateur photographer. And I write ebooks and conduct workshops and shoot anything that gets in front of my camera.
And I'm Varina Patel. I'm his better half, obviously. You can find me at www.photographybyvarina.com. And I've been shooting since I was a kid. I'm the pro in the family. I always mess with them about that. Actually, we're both pros. But yeah, we teach workshops and seminars and write ebooks and I don't know, lots of other stuff. There you go.
Right, cool. You're not supposed to say you're the better half. You're supposed to say you're the better 75%. And then
I am actually that as well. I am the better 85%.
Okay. Well, so
she's the better 85%. How's that,
Wow.
Trey?
All right.
Take notes, Trey.
It's true. It's very kind. Always listen to the women in your life. Very smart.
I figured since I'm the only woman tonight, what's up with that?
Well,
are there no other female photographers on the entire planet that you could find?
No, we invited a few other chooks, but
okay.
they are either running late or having issues. You know.
I thought maybe I was the token woman.
No, that's what they call them down here in New Zealand. Is they don't say they call them chooks.
Chooks.
I like that.
Right.
I'll remember that.
Chook for the night.
Yeah, sounds nice because you're not really sure if it's demeaning or not, and it's kind of cute.
Right.
Yeah. It's in a real gray area.
It's pretty great.
So speaking of ebooks, you guys have a new ebook that launches tonight. I'm going to promote it right now. Here we go. Watch this. I'm going to share my screen. Where are we going? Okay. So this is their new ebook. It's called Vibrant Colors. Get that? That's the cover. Oh, that cover's too big.
It's called A Field Guide for Capturing Vibrant Colors, actually, Trey.
Does it start with I Shoot Raw?
It doesn't, but future versions will definitely start with that since we screwed that up.
I think my T-shirt says I shoot iPhone.
Yeah, his T-shirt says I shoot with an iPhone. No.
No.
Actually, it's coming out a little backwards.
It's backwards, yes.
It says best dad anyway.
Oh.
Okay.
Aw.
So here's a few other shots from your book. Here's from the table of contents. Here's another. You guys do take beautiful photos. I mean, absolutely, really
Thanks.
brilliant stuff.
The good ones in the books are all mine. The rest, if you don't like them, they're Jay's. Really
Okay.
easy to tell. You can tell our different styles because mine's the good one.
And here's another photo from inside the book. And here's the last one. And so, everybody, this goes live on flatbooks.com tonight. So you go look for it. And they also have another book on there called What the Heck is a Histogram, which used to have a very boring color until I browbeated them.
Cover.
Yes.
You didn't like our cover.
A cover is very important. People like a pretty cover. Actually,
I liked my old cover, but that's okay. You can have it.
You know
I
why
gave you a
people
new
like
one.
pretty covers? And this is sort of weird, but I think it's true. This is my own theory, is that, we collect these ebooks now on our iPads, and it's nice to open up your library and you have all these little colorful pieces of candy there.
Right.
And if you just see something that looks like it's all black and white.
Black and white, yeah.
College term paper. You're like, oh.
That's what I was going for. I was going for the college term paper crowd.
Right. Okay, so we're going to jump around and get to know people, but before we do that, I want to thank everyone for watching last week's show. We had sort of this very long question and answer period. It was all for beginner and intermediate photographers. It went for about 2 hours. It was great fun, all kinds of stuff in there, and it was sort of in anticipation of this new online course we're doing. That course is sponsored by Photomatics. That's made by HDRsoft. Sponsored by SmugMug, Nick Software, and Adorama. And if you go sign up with a friend, then what you get the chance to win 2 cameras, a Sony NEX7, a Nikon D7000, or a Canon 60D. And it's your choice for you and a friend. So it's a really, really cool thing there. Thanks from Adorama for that thing. All right, so and that show is available on YouTube if you guys want to go check it out last week. All right, let's jump around and start seeing what people are up to. And I know some people tuned in also to watch me post-process one of these photos that I took a few nights ago out during the Southern Lights. I'll do that kind of at the end. I don't want to take the time of everybody that's assembled here. So we'll kind of do that at the end. But first, we'll just kind of go in the same order as before, I guess. And we'll just kind of keep it loosey-goosey. And as always with Hangouts, even though I don't want to dominate it or anything, so you don't have to wait for me to pass you the talking pillow. This is just sort of, we're entering informal Hangout phase. So as people talk about what they're doing and share photos, everyone feel free to jump in, and there's no rules, just very, very chill, relaxed kind of thing. Okay, so anyway, having said all that, Fred, Give us the full scoop on what's happening in your.
Now that you said all that intro, I wasn't nervous. Now I'm nervous. You know, all this talking pillow and all this stuff. You know, I was relaxed until you went down that road, Trey. Thank you, appreciate it. So I'm working on a few projects quickly. So we're launching. So like I was saying before, I'm the host of the show called This Week in Photo, also known as TWiT. We are launching a new show tomorrow that I'm announcing here for the first time ever. And it's on Google Plus, or it's a Hangout only, actually, and it's called TWiT Plus, ironically. Tomorrow's show is July 17th, in case you're watching this after the show already happened, but it will, of course, be archived on YouTube. It's happening at 6 p.m. Pacific, and it's featuring Dave and Eliza Snow, and it's on microstock photography and how to do all that stuff, how to get paid, how much money can you make, and all that cool stuff. So it's gonna be interesting. It's an adjunct to the actual podcast. So the podcast, which is huge, will continue on in force, and this will be our Google Plus sort of footprint and offering for that. And then the other thing I'm working on is I'm launching in about a week from now a free training class for photographers on marketing yourself on the web. It's called Essential Web Marketing for Photographers. So that will go live in about a week, and I will announce that on Google Plus and let folks know about it. In addition to that, about a week after that, we're launching our first iBook on marketing for photographers. It's called To Market. It's going to be interesting. We'll see how that goes. It's interactive. It's got video and audio and all that stuff in there. We're working on 2 iOS apps that will hopefully launch within the next 4 months. And then I owe Trey's people the manuscript for a ebook for flat books. So that is also on the list. So that is what I'm working on right now.
Brent. Stop with all this nonsense.
Oh, in no particular order, because there's also workshops in there too that I didn't mention, but there's all kinds of stuff going on in Fred World. So
cool.
That's
well,
what's up
are
with
you
me.
With all this stuff you got going on? Have you had much time for getting out and shooting?
No, that's the problem. I've had zero. Here's the problem with the entrepreneurial photographer. Working on the business leaves zero time for actual shooting. I went to London 2 weeks ago, and I literally shot maybe, 50 photos while I was there for 2 weeks. 2 weeks, 50 photos because of business. So it is it's the curse. It's the curse. Anyway, but it's all good. It's all good.
Well, what are you doing of these various projects? Which one are you like? Because you end up doing something as you're like, I had this idea. I might as well see it through to the end.
Yeah.
And I'm sure some of those are what you're working on. But like, which of those things that you're working on are you most excited about? Do you kind of wake up thinking about or dream about in the shower or whatever?
Well, in the shower, there you go. You had to put that in there, didn't you? The one that gets my juices flowing the most, Trey, is the Essential Web Marketing for Photographers course, because it's the first course out of a company I started called MediaBytes. It's at MediaBytes.com, and it sort of blends in my love for marketing, which, for folks that follow me know that I'm this big marketing geek and I love all that kind of stuff, and my love for photography. I'm a big photography geek as well. So it brings them both together in a product that is going to be for sale that I can sort of use my marketing chops on to push forward rather than using my marketing chops for, say, a corporation or something like that. So it's exciting. That's the one that has me the most excited, because it's, for one, it's like I was saying, it's sort of the first product out of that company, and the second piece of it is the first of many products like that out of that company. So once this one launches, I'll get a chance to see, if people like it. Do they hate it? Should I continue? Should I not? That kind of thing. So it's exciting business.
Well, I think it's a good idea. I don't know too much about that, space, but I think that there's a lot of photographers that would enjoy reading what you have to say about that, because, people need help in that category.
Yeah, I agree. And they won't be reading, because the course is all interactive videos and screencast and live action. Yeah. So no reading.
People don't like to read.
Except for your ebook. Except for ebooks, yeah.
Cool. And Jared, what's going on in your world? I know you get plenty of time to go out and take photos and produce some amazing work. So while you talk about your stuff today, how about you share some of your photos with us?
You want me to start sharing first?
Yeah.
Or are you trying to get me to... Here, I'll share some stuff. Well, I'll talk first, and then we'll share. I'm not going to push anything right now because I've got a million things, but let's talk photo. I've got some things I haven't really told anybody about that I'm going to just start. It's basically called Fund a Photographer, and it's something I've been kicking around for a year, and I will have a lot more information on that as we go forward, but I'm about ready to just kick that out there, and it's going to help more people. So I'm not selling anything with that. We're just helping people.
That sounds neat. Is it sort of a Kickstarter thing where you support photographers that you're interested in?
Yeah, at some point, but it's going to start smaller than that. We're going to try to hit up people with, try to fund the kids that are younger. Get the kids starting. Yeah. You know, I've given a scholarship, and most of my readers don't know that I've given a scholarship to my college for this is the second year. It was hard to do last year, but I still did it. And basically, they have to create something kick-ass that grabs my attention, or nobody gets the scholarship. And it's $1,000 for gear. And I take them to the camera store, and we spend $1,000, and we buy them something that they need. And
that's really cool.
So we did that last year, and it's going out again this year. And I just hope to keep doing that year after year, as well as this other project that will be kicking off. But today, put out a video called Shooting the World's Largest Fire Hydrant, and it really wasn't, but just something different. All I'm looking to do is create some fun and informative content to keep people coming back and enjoy shooting and shut their mouths and get out and shoot. Because so many people we're stuck behind the computer too often, and you know, you get those questions all the time. How do I turn my screen on, or how do I do this and how do I do that? And people are so quick today just to ask you before they even try. So a lot of what I'm looking to do is just show people, look, you can do this, get out there and do it. And that's where I'm at with that. Just it's time for people just to get out and shoot. And as much as I want them to watch my stuff, I try to look at it as more of an inspirational thing at this point. And I don't want to give every little thing away, because you have to learn. That's how most photographers do it. You get out there and you shoot, and things are going to happen. Put yourself in the situations to be successful, and go from there.
Sage advice.
Very true.
Rant over.
No, it's a good rant. It's one of those rants that people can hear over and over again. There's a few like go-to rants, and that's one of the best ones. So I love it.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. So you have some photos to share with us, I hope.
Let's see if the screen share will work. Share my desktop. I don't have any secrets hiding on the desktop. What would you like to see? Naked guys almost? So you're saying this because I can't see the screen, but this is one of those photos that goes way back to, I was out on tour with Perry Farrell for 6 weeks. And those of you who think that being on tour is something glamorous, it's really not. It's a lot of the same thing over and over. But the story behind this picture is we were at a VH1 John Varvatos event, I believe, and it was at Bloomingdale's, and Perry saw these mannequins and was like, "Hey, do you want to go take a picture of me?" So he stripped down out of his clothes, stood there. I took 3 pictures, and then this was it. And Rolling Stone ran this in the U.S. They ran it in Germany, and it's just one of those pictures that you look at it, and we actually, luckily enough, had video of it where you can see that it's literally 14 seconds, 3 pictures, and done. It's just one of those shots that just kind of worked, you know? One of those things. And then I'll just show you this. Does anybody know who this is in the room? Famous photographer, rock and roll? No? Anybody?
No.
All right, Jim Marshall. Jim Marshall, he's one of the greatest rock and roll photographers of all time, started in the 50s. He passed away 2 years ago. And if you know that the Rolling Stones 50th anniversary is now, he was there on the 72 tour, and they're putting out a book of all his photos from the 72 tour, which he basically said he doesn't remember a thing about. But I had the pleasure of knowing this guy. If you need to, you should really look on Amazon. He's got some amazing work. He was one of those guys who never cropped, always shot Leica, was there at Woodstock. If you don't know his work, he took Johnny Cash giving the finger at Folsom Prison, Janis Joplin drinking with the bottle of Southern Comfort, Hendrix lighting his guitar on fire, you name it, he was there for it. And check out Jim Marshall's stuff. And then I had the pleasure of knowing him and hanging out a couple of times. And actually, he wanted that Perry Farrell photo of him in his underwear. And he said that if I send him that, I can pick any one of his photos. So I traded him that for his 1966, the Beatles at Candlestick Park, I believe is what it was. Any questions?
Some of those old timers are amazing how they can do that, with no cropping and just shoot just clean. And I mean, it takes a different mentality. I don't go into it like that, but it's just a different brain type, I think.
Well, I do, and I'll tell you, I don't crop. I do not crop, just like he didn't crop. And I think it was one of the reasons we got along very well after I showed him my work was basically, I think he saw a little bit of himself in what I was doing, just sans I wasn't doing the drugs and alcohol that he did in the 60s and 70s. But, my mentality is I don't crop. I capture in the camera, and these days, you can't really say crop in the camera, not in the darkroom, because too many people think that you use the crop tool in the camera literally to crop your picture. But to me, it's all about filling the frame, feeling the moment, capturing it the way that you see it, and that's part of my one of my mentalities. I don't crop, but nothing hanging in my loft is cropped.
Varina and Jay, you guys are not strangers to the cropping, are you?
No,
we do everything. There is no religious that we follow that says, I can't.
That's right. We say if it makes you happy, go for it.
Go for it.
If it makes you happy to crop. If it makes you happy not to crop, that's cool too. If you like HDR, hey, you do that.
You guys are very free love over there.
We are free love.
Yeah.
No.
We are.
Never would put it in those words exactly, but free love indeed.
But Trey, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
So you obviously do some fantastic HDR stuff, and I've put out videos where I've talked about HDR and not being a fan of certain HDR. What is your take on people beating the crap out of it, overdoing it? How do you bring it back to something where it's more along the line of what you're putting out there versus what people just push the buttons and push it to the extreme and take it to the top? Where do you draw the line?
Well, yeah, it's a very interesting question, and I am not that judgmental really about people that make bad HDRs. I would like to guide them to doing something better, but I think people need to go through their own process. And I was in a hangout with people that I didn't expect up on stage, and one of the guys that was in the hangout was Moose Peterson, and he was saying that there's some photos that just shouldn't be taken and they're just bad. And he I think he takes great pleasure in calling people out and telling them it's a bad photo and you shouldn't have taken it. And, a little kind of, I don't know if it's old school bullyism or what it is, but
a little Simon Cowell in him,
Yeah. And I don't really necessarily understand that. I do see a lot of bad HDRs, but to me, it's people that are just going through their own learning process. And I think what happens is people start with bad HDRs and they think that they're quite good. Obviously they do, otherwise they wouldn't put them out. There's something happening that's getting them super excited. They're like, oh, wow. And then they share it. And I think that excitement is really good. It gives them enough mojo to keep trying, keep sharing. And over time, if you just keep doing it enough, I think you can't help but get better.
That makes sense.
You know what I mean?
I think that art is as much about the experience of creating the art as it is about the finished product. And I think people tend to forget that. We're out there to create because it feels amazing. Mm-hmm. If it doesn't feel amazing anymore, quit doing it or do it differently. But as long as it feels great, who cares how you do it?
So I've heard this argument a lot too. A while ago, I put up a photo on G+, which was really bad. It was a really old photo of mine. And people said, wow, that is so great. I can say the same argument that says that you can call lack of technical skills artistic and get away with it. Mm-hmm. In my opinion, a bad HDR could be, one person's bad HDR could be another person's artwork. And this guy called Trey Ratcliffe said, I really don't want, what was the words that you used? Acknowledgement from fellow photographers. I actually subscribe to that belief. So,
you mean you're looking for acknowledgement from
people
the
who
non-artistic or the non-photographic community?
I'm not looking for acknowledgement, but I think I subscribe to the philosophy that if I'm a photographer and I think that it should be done this way, there's a whole world who's a non-photographer who have a lot different viewpoint, or may have.
Jay, I used to be more judgmental than I am now. I'm much more open-minded and free love like you guys. I remember I do have things that I've said that I regret kind of in a way because I've had the blog up forever. And by the way, my old HDR stuff is just really embarrassing, but I leave it up just to let people know how. Oh,
I love sharing my old photos. They're so crap. We should do a hangout just on crap old photos you used to take.
Yeah, that would be embarrassing. So there's this. I had this photo, and it's not really about the photo, but I was in this cave in Malaysia, and it was this actually a religious place where Hindus would come and practice their religion, and all the walls had been painted with these very ornate paintings of Vishnu and the milk and all kinds of stuff, right? All of the traditional Hindu iconology was in there. And I remember I wrote in there that I found this art to be very garish, right? And with the really hot teals and the dark lines and the super bright colors that I didn't feel like went together right. And then I found it really this is just isn't, I don't like it. But then all these, very nice and well-meaning people from India or Hindus started commenting, oh no, this is very, very beautiful. So anyway, that made me think, well, you know what, I guess that what's garish to me, some people really like, and there is no right and wrong. So I'm very, very humbled and open-minded now.
Well, it's true, but I think in this day and look, I am the first to point out the positives in the photos when I do these critiques, and that's better than what I used to do 10 years ago when it would just this is crap, I don't get it, I don't understand it. You have to find the positives to help people go forward. But I think at this point, there's so many people shooting, and I think a lot of people are afraid to say boo against photos and call them, and there's a lot of people just afraid to say what they think about it if they think it's negative, because there's the whole trolling mentality. And I see trolls nonstop, or I don't even call them trolls, I just call them assholes, who leave the worst comments. You've seen all the comments that people can leave on YouTube, other than first. But you know what? You can't let that stuff bother you. But I really think that the discussion has to happen with photos where if you don't like something or it's technically wrong, and I'm not saying that there's anything that you have to shoot technically right, because there's plenty of people that shoot pictures that don't know what they're doing, that get amazing work. I just think that the discussion needs to happen, that you have to be open to calling out certain things in photos and being able to take that. And now, with that said, I suck at taking criticism because I like my work. And I'm my own harshest critic, and I really don't want to hear what other people have to say. But that's me personally, but people come to me asking me for my opinion, and I try, I do this Adorama Picks rapid fire critique on my site, and I just keep reiterating, look, this is my opinion. If I don't like it, here's some things you can take, a different direction, but that doesn't mean that somebody else doesn't find it interesting. But everybody should, give their opinion and try to put the positive spin on something. So
yeah, I think a lot of it depends on taking a step back and, as educators and people that already kind of know how to shoot, we need to look at, if someone gives me a photo, I'm going to look at where they are in their sort of photographic learning process. So if they're, and what they're trying to accomplish with the photo. So before I say it's crap. So if they say, hey, here's an HDR photo, and I was trying to use the HDR technique to make a realistic shot and make the sky more dramatic and make the window light look, warmer or something like that, and they fail miserably because it's completely oversaturated and it looks wrong, then I will tell them that. But if they were just going for something surreal, then that's something completely different. I don't think you can just look at something and then off the cuff say, hey, this sucks, this is wrong. It depends on where that person is in their learning process and what they were trying to do in the first place with that photo.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sometimes a little bit of, I think, just, what there's, and I'm sure you see this all the time, Jared and everybody else, there is this one, I don't know where it is in the Myers-Briggs 16, but it's one of these. and these people comment, and they have no ability to say things in a nice way, but in their head, they think they're being extremely helpful, right? They just say something that kind of eats into your soul a little bit, and the way in which they arrange the words on the internet makes you think, what an ass. But
you're talking about my ex-girlfriend, Trey.
We have to take into account that we're global now, and I sometimes have to look at where people are in the world because they're I speak English. I don't know any other languages, and that's my fault, and people try to speak English, and sometimes you take it the wrong way. So you kind of have to read that. But I know exactly what you're saying, where people will just say things because they can hide behind their YouTube handle, which you can't do on Facebook. You don't see as much hatred on Facebook because people can't hide behind their name as much. But I've actually personally contacted some people through YouTube after they've said something just extremely, extremely just stupid, and I don't want to put them in their place on publicly. I will contact them privately and just say, look, try going about it a different way. And it works sometimes, and other times it just gets you more frustrated. But that's me. I don't know how to let those things go sometimes, and that's not good. But I think sometimes you have to stand up and you have to say some things.
I have a very simple religion that I follow. Never, ever, ever comment in a public forum.
You mean critique in a
public forum.
He never shuts up in the public forums, but
never critique in a public forum. If you want my critique, I charge an awful lot of money for it, and I'll be happy to share my opinions. And trust me, they're not going to be very pretty.
We tend to, I speaking for myself here, I'm not quite so militant about it. I do actually avoid critiquing unless people directly ask for it, because I think in a lot of cases they're not looking for a critique. It's like you said, Jared, you don't want to be critiqued, right? So how do I know if the guy who just posted a photo wants a critique? I'll post a critique if I am directly asked for one.
And that's exactly what I do.
Yeah. Right. And in that case, I will I'll say what I think, but I often try and make sure that it's positive as well. There's something positive in there. I can find something nice about any photo I look at. So, I don't want to just say, wow, that really sucks. Bye.
I'll politely decline. And if you persist, I'll impolitely decline.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if there's a parallel between knowing the difference between a good photo and a bad photo and like food, because I know, like, I have a friend that still eats, like a 9-year-old. We go out and all he'll get is like meat and like mashed potatoes or something like this, right? And I think he's one of these guys that looks at a menu, like even in a nice restaurant, and he's just trying to find one thing that he might like. Whereas I am not a foodie or some elitist when it comes to food or anything like that, but I do have a nice appreciation for many kinds of food and many styles of cooking. And so I go into a restaurant and I see everything on the menu and I think, oh my gosh, it all sounds so amazing. Which one do I get to order? And I wonder if that's the way it is with photography, where some people are just happy with just sort of a blind ignorance as to the difference between, normal food and fine food. And if not until you actually point something out to them do they realize that, there actually is more to a photo than just mashed potatoes.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's sushi.
Oh, yum.
Oh, yeah.
Sushi.
I mean, you gotta look at it from the standpoint of there's like photography, and the hobby of photography is one of, if not the fastest growing hobby in the United States. So there's always this, and maybe the world, there's always this influx of new people that are buying these newest, coolest DSLRs and, and Micro Four Thirds cameras and all this stuff that have no idea how to use it. So they go out and they start shooting and they try to be the Trey because they look at Trey's tutorial on his site and they're, okay, I'm going to go try this HDR thing. And their friends and family typically will tell them, hey, wow, that's amazing what you just did. You should be a photographer. So they'll go out and do more and more and more. And then they'll come upon somebody who is a pro photographer who knows what they're talking about. And they're like, hey, look at this shot. Grandma said it was awesome and it's horrible. and then they get their dreams crushed. So I think the question is, how do you gently shepherd that person from the unreality of friends and family adoration to...
You say it like it is.
Well, yeah, but
you say it like it is. You can't sugarcoat it, because we have. Can we curse on this show or no?
Yes. It's the internet. You can say whatever you want.
Well, the purification of kids today and people today is beyond belief. Whether it's sports, photography, education, parenting, you name it, kids are these. Because they're not told no, and they're not slapped around. And I'm not saying you should slap your kids around. I'm just saying that people need to be told that crap is crap sometimes. But saying, look, you can do anything you want. You can be a photographer, but know that it's not easy. Because I know that when I was 15 and 16 and shooting the Flyers, Philadelphia Flyers, I had a way in. I had a Sports Illustrated photographer tell me that it's not easy and that I may not make it. And I took it the wrong way because I was too young to understand that he was really saying, look, it's going to take a lot of work. And he wanted to take me under his wing and help me out. And I missed that opportunity because I wasn't mature enough to know what he was saying. So I saw it as, look, he's telling me I can't do it. And I turned it around and said, you know what, screw you, I'm going to do it. But that really wasn't what he was trying to do. I try to be as real with people on my site as possible. And anybody can do this. Not everybody's going to make it. You really got to work hard. You got to market yourself, like you said, but you just have to get out there and do it, because a lot of readers will send in and they want you to give them the secret. And there is a secret. It's called bust your ass day in and day out, make your way in the world. And as my dad would tell me, there's 3 types of people in the world. Is it 3 types? I don't know. But there's the people that, it's people that make things happen, the people that let things happen, and the people who wonder what the happened. So my dad wrote that down to me a while ago on a letter when I was in a funk for myself. And I've always been the kind of person that makes things happen, because you have to make things happen for yourself. You have to take the bull by the horns, and you have to just get out there and you do it. But, not everybody's going to be a great photographer.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, Jared. But it's also like working backwards too. Like, you say you got to bust your ass to get there. They have to figure out what there is. I mean, do they just want to go out and take a happy picture of a butterfly on the weekends, or do they want to have the guts to be able to be in a mall and take a picture of a half-naked dude standing next to mannequins? Do they want to be able to do that? And be able to get the shot in 3 shots? Have the skill to do that. They got to figure out what they want to do. Not everybody wants to make money in photography. Not everybody wants to build a business or be famous. Some people just love it for the love of capturing light, right?
Right, and like you said earlier, you have to gauge what each person's interest is. Especially when you're critiquing. If they are just a weekend warrior, or they just want to get great pictures of their children, there's 2 different mentalities. Like, I'm a fan of using the best kind of gear that I can. That's my personal thing. I've earned this gear since I was 13 and shooting, and I've bought my own gear, and I want to go out with the best stuff that I personally can, because that's what I use. I want to use my 2.8 lenses, but then people ask you about the 18 to 200 mega zoom. And I sit there and say, look, if you're looking to be a pro, then the 18 to 200 may not be the best use of your money. If you're just looking to travel and take one lens with you around the world, and you don't really care about the corners, or you don't care about this crap, by all means, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Read Ken Rockwell if you care, and then you can just do that. Come on, I'm just stirring it up. Let's stir it up.
This is the rant hangout, man. I love it.
Wow. All right, keep showing us some pretty pictures of yours, Jared. We want to see more.
Oh, you want to see more pretty pictures?
Yes, and then we'll go to Jay and Varina, and they can share some photos too.
Let's see. As long as it doesn't kick me off, I'm sure some people would be happy with that. All right, just let me know if anything isn't showing up. Let me make this larger. This is Matis Yahoo. Does anybody know Matis Yahoo? Does anybody listen to music?
I listen to music, but I don't know.
Matis Yahoo's a reggae rapping Jewish guy. He has a new album coming out tomorrow for anybody that wants to look it up. But I'll tell you how I ended up on the tour bus with Matis. Here, look at this stuff. This is stuff. My whole goal in life, or as a photographer, was just like what Jim Marshall did, and it's get the images or get access to places that most people can't get access. And the best way to do that is ask for it. But the other best way to do that is to have work to back it up. And you have to tell people this, that if your work doesn't back up your talk, then most people are going to see right through it quick. This is just Matis in the back of the bus. I met him. I basically was told, no, I can't have a photo pass. And I had a couple options. I could just show up to the show, walk in and talk my way in, or I basically contacted his manager and said, look, this is what I'm looking to do. Here's what I've done for people in the past. I would like to spend the day with Matis capturing pictures behind the scenes. All I ask for is all access with no restrictions. And in exchange, I'll allow you to use some of the pictures online. So it's a give and take. And I tell my readers this too. It's a give and take. You offer something, you get something. He let me in. And after, look, here's another one. I spent 4 days on the road with him. This is his kids on tour with him in the hotel room watching TV. Nobody gets this stuff, This is the stuff that really I enjoy doing as a photographer. But when I asked Matis on the bus at the end of the day why he allowed me access, he said, because my manager told me you were the real deal. That's all he needed to hear. And I just go and I make sure that my work speaks for itself, that I send it in and I wrap it up. Like, look, a shot like this. How many people get the opportunity to capture this stuff? So I guess I'm ranting again, but I am very, yes, I like my stuff personally, but that's just me. And then, here, I'll show you this last one, then we can move on. Look at this. I actually got to sleep in the bed on the right. Matis allowed me into the back of the bus. I spent 4 days on the road with him, and I was, basically I slept next to him on the other side because that's where he had space, and he allowed me into his inner sanctum. In the morning, his kid would jump in. He actually woke me up. I elbowed him by accident because he startled me. But he jumped into the bed with his dad, and I woke up to this picture. And before I actually took it, I said to Matis really quietly, do you mind if I take pictures? And he's basically like, do whatever you want. So here we are. You get pictures like this that tell stories, and yeah, that's that. Behind the scenes. I'll keep it with the happy pictures. I won't show you any of the non-happy pictures.
That's cool. So after you took these photos, did you ever show them on the back of the camera and go, oh, look at this? Or did you just wait until you took everything back in Lightroom and you plucked out your favorites and then send them to him?
Well, for me, it's mostly sending stuff later. It's on occasion I'll show people to, look, this is what I'm getting, just to give them that wow factor, because you can see it even on a 3-inch screen. If there is something there and you capture something amazing, most people don't know the difference between a good photo and a bad, in my opinion. But when you show it to them and they go, that's great, it lets down all the walls. So now they're allowing you to do whatever you want and occasionally show them. But I saw Matis 2 days ago at a show here in Philly, and the first thing he said to me was, well, beside "Hey Fro," was, he's like, when I'm down, I open up that book that you sent me. And I sent him an Adorama Pix 12 by 9 hardback book. And after the tour, and it's like 100 pages of just photos from the tour. And his kids are in there, and his shows are in there, and the road is in there. And that's something that a lot of photographers don't understand you have to do, is you just, you give these things to your clients. If you give them something that they didn't expect, and they sit there with a coffee table book on their table and they need a photo shot, they're going to end up calling you because they remember you and what you did for them. So, that's what he said to me the other day was, when I get down, I open up that book that you gave me. So, yeah, I like to tweak my raw files, get them to the processing that I would like to do, and, send them out.
Well, that's cool stuff. What are you working on now? Any latest projects you want to talk about?
I've got a deal I'm waiting on that's music related to that's not fully done yet, so I can't say what it is, but it's dealing with YouTube and another channel that's growing steadily, and it's working with musicians. I mean, what I'm looking to do now is branch out of just teaching and do more show related stuff, longer form content, teach more, have more fun. I just got done doing a pole academy where I went to a strip pole academy, and I basically participated in my short shorts and tank top with 4 really good-looking ladies, and that will make a fun episode. Because I think you got to be entertaining, but you have to have quality work, and that's what I'm looking to do. Entertain.
Is that what it's called, a pole academy? I've never heard that term.
It's called PA Pole Academy, where they teach fitness. Oh. You do fitness on the pole. You get those girls are ripped. Should I share some of those photos real quick?
Yes.
Anybody? Here, I'll pull some of those up.
Yeah.
Let me find.
You guys have a poll at your place?
Of course. Yeah. That's how we work out. Yeah.
What do you think you're in shape for?
Of course. Yeah. I mean,
next time you're in Ohio, we'll let you try it out. Trey. I'll have my camera ready too.
All right, PA Pole Academy. Let's see what we got here.
In some boy shorts. Up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go get the pole,
Right.
honey.
You'll be scared if you see that one.
Are we seeing any of this?
Okay, let's get serious
There
here.
we go.
We're getting serious, Jay. Stop goofing around. Okay,
Yeah.
go for it, Jared.
Okay.
We seeing it?
Yes.
Yeah, we see it.
Yeah, you know, girls just having fun on the poles. There's video of me doing this because I had a lot of fun doing this. But, you know, this is not the part of the challenge of what I'm trying to do is show people that you can pretty much shoot anything, but you have to figure it out when you get there and then finding out what the mistakes are. I like to show people all the pictures, even the bad pictures, because what I consider to be a bad picture, and then try to say what I could have done better personally. And, you know, you get stuff like this and stuff like this. And I'll just let something load one of these days. And then, oh, check this out. Yes, I got her number. Look at this. Look at that. That, to me, that's a great portrait, and that's window lighting only. But I'm not happy about cutting her fingers off, if I may say that myself. All right. I'll stop taking over that. Yeah. So there. That's some PA Pole Academy stuff that nobody's seen yet because it's not out and it's not being done. It's not done editing. So, yeah, that's what I'm doing. Fun stuff like that.
Wow.
Anybody?
Dead space.
Trey,
Well
you're
done.
muted.
I'll keep going.
Nice.
What else would you like to talk about?
Trey, you're muted.
Trey, we can't hear you. Trey.
Either that or
sorry.
Gollum got to him.
There we go.
Sorry, I was thinking.
Rookie.
I'll repeat what I said. I thanked Jared for his sharing time. But now it's time for the sharing time from Jay and Varina.
All right. Jay wants to start.
I'll go first because
Here he goes.
I'm
All
better.
sorry.
Yes. So what projects am I
We
working on?
love this. We love this tension. So keep it up.
We just got back from Nicaragua.
I know how it goes. You don't have to rehearse tension.
No.
No, it's real.
But I will let Varina talk about that. So that's a big project that we have undergoing together.
Yeah.
But we're also writing another ebook, hopefully for
All right.
flat books.
All right.
The one we're working on is called the Workflow Series. We have 3 of them already on our site. Not yet on flat books yet. But this one is about taking detail shots. And I'll show you some of the detail shots that we were...
So this series that we're working on is called the Workflow Series, and I'm not sure if that's what you were trying to say, but we have 3 books out in this series already, so this is the 4th in the series, I think. Is it the 4th? Okay, it's the 4th.
So detail shots consist of anything which is small. So let me see if I can pull up an interesting one over here. That one. So people have seen this
There it is.
shot of ours. And what happens with the detail shots is that you have all this equipment and people talk about the equipment and they're all very excited about the equipment. But there is always this one little thing that needs to happen, which is over and above the extra thing. And that's what we concentrate on in a workflow series. So let me give you an example. So this shot was taken with a simple macro lens and a crop vector camera. Now, I can just hand you a crop vector camera and a macro lens and ask you to go take a shot. And I can even point out a perfect lighting of how this was done. This is natural lighting.
I'm getting turned on by this picture.
Oh, yes. Okay, wait. Let me record that. I'll send you a large copy of it. So
Whatever makes you happy.
it's natural lighting. Now, what happens is that you go on the beach, you find these guys, and you have all the light just right, and you have your macro lens set up. And then you find out that none of these guys are as clear as this photo shows. Every single sea anemone that you find on a beach has sand in it. So all that equipment, the preparations that you guys do in the workshop and things, and is absolutely useless. Now, one can say that I'm really good at Photoshop and I can actually just be able to Photoshop the sand out, which is correct. You can, and you can spend years trying to do that. Or you can do what we describe in our workflow series. All I did was take a water bottle and from one end over here, took some seawater and poured it. And it created a current and it cleared every sand particles out except for 3 that were stuck in the mouth of sea anemone. So in 5 minutes, I was able to do years worth of Photoshop work. And that is what our workflow series ebooks describe. So we take 6 photos and we actually go ahead and tell you in detail how the photo was created and what is that little something extra that you need for each photo to take it beyond the normal scenes. And some of the photos even make you turn on.
Cool. Okay, next.
I'll show you next one.
I assume this happens many times a day where Varina just buries her head.
I do.
Yeah.
It's my big thing.
That didn't happen on your wedding day too?
Just twice.
Wait, that was
just full on shame.
So here's another interesting photo. You see these little heartbeats over here.
Yes, we see them.
They're created by a little lens effect. So what happened that day was we were out at a workshop and I was just wandering around going between the students and I just happened to notice that it was raining really heavily. And I said, you know, these blades of grass are really nice. I was trying to shoot the bubbles and I quickly took a shot. And as the raindrop falls, it bounces. And because the whole scene was backlit, it created this trace marks wherever there was a raindrops. And I just happened to capture this. This is not something that you can see, but I thought it was an interesting shot.
Good. Well, I like how you're showing us something we can't see. Let's see the next one.
All right. Next one, let's see. There you go. What do you think this is?
Is that the sea of milk I referred to earlier?
No. It's actually a bubble bursting in Yellowstone National Park in the hot spring. And to capture this is actually incredibly easy. We have a tutorial on our blog, a short tutorial, free one, of how we capture this. But essentially all you do is that you look for conditions that are correct. In this particular pool, these bubbles would burst at random intervals, but with one caveat. They burst exactly at the same place. So all we did was we set up our tripods, focused it where the bubbles were bursting, and then just waited. As soon as you saw a bubble form, you just fired up high-speed captures. And then you take a look at the back of the camera. And every once in a while, you'll get something interesting like this.
Hey, Trey, we've reached the hour mark, just to let you know.
Okay, cool. Why don't you guys show one more, and then I'll jump into my little quick, screen share while I edit a photo, and then we'll do Google Plus discoveries, okay?
So let me go to Varina and let her talk with her project.
Okay.
Oh, that's okay. You have another
I'm
photo
done.
you want to show? No? So what I'm working on lately is this Nicaragua trip. I have been processing constantly for that, and so that's where I'm at. Let me grab my window here.
Are you guys shooting TIFF files?
No, we're shooting RAW files.
RAW files.
But why does everything say TIFF?
Because these are TIFF images.
You're just seeing filtered images.
Yeah, we only have images in the collection that we're showing tonight that are from that have been processed. They're finished, so they're saved as TIFF files. But these are some of the photos that I took while we were in Nicaragua, and this was a trip with The Giving Lens and Empowerment International. So it was just an incredible trip. We were working with kids in the slums down there, teaching photography, and that's our next big thing. This is where I'm trying to shift my photography a little bit. Is finding opportunities to give back a little bit of humanitarianism, because that's what I really enjoy. So if I can do it with my camera, then all the better. So there you go. That's what I'm working on, the really quick version, and I guess that's our hour, right? So back to you, Trey.
Cool, thanks. Thanks for showing us those. Okay, before I share my screen, I'll give a few, I don't know if they're caveats or what, but so what I'm going to show here is not really necessarily for the people in the Hangout, because it's going to be very elementary to them. So it's really for everybody else watching. I expect that everyone here kind of knows how to do this stuff. So the tone of my talk may change a little bit. So the second thing is that I am not an expert at Aurora shots by any means. This is the first time I've ever seen them. I've always wanted to take Aurora shots, so I was all ready to go. And I did make mistakes along the way, but there's other people that are very, very good at this stuff. I'm not professing to be an expert. In fact, if anyone ever says they're an expert on anything, you should be very curious about that and doubt them. But I'm just learning, and just like I've done with everything else, as I learn, I like to kind of share as I'm learning and this sort of thing. So maybe if you someday get the chance to go shoot Aurora, these are just kind of some beginner steps you can go through when you set up for the shot and then when you actually process the shot later. Okay. And we did this, come up with the show number for me, Dave. We had all these space photographers on that shoot stars and star trails, and I do very, very little of this. These guys are the real smart ones about this. So if you have more questions, they're probably good to ask. I just play in this stuff. So anyway, I'll start sharing my screen while Dave finds that information.
Number 24.
You were fast, Dave Veffer. Thank you. Okay.
No problem.
Here we go. So first I'll share a few photos that I took. This is me out shooting the Aurora. This is, I stayed up for 2 days in a row and started chasing this light all around. I was so excited. This was shot by Stefan Hayworth. I went out with him and Eden. They called me on the way, and I had just gotten my kids into bed, and they said, "Hey, the Aurora, there's a major storm hitting. Let's go." I was like, "All right, come pick me up." So they picked me up, and we went out and did this. I don't know if you can tell, but this boulder here, well, there's no way you can tell, but on the other side of the boulder, it's like a sheer drop-off into this freezing lake. I mean, you're a goner if you go off that thing. I was trying not to think about it. It's pitch black, so it's very, very scary. This is Lake Wakatupu here. This is the lake on which Queenstown is on. That's a photo of me. I didn't take that photo, obviously. Somebody else did. That was Stefan that took that. So here's a few photos that I took. This is right there at that same spot. I kind of put it up into the vertical mode. And I'll process one of these in a second. I'm just showing you a few others that were taken that night. We drove all the way down to the southern coast so that there was basically, nothing between us and Antarctica. This is one more I grabbed from this lake before we moved on. This one is as we were going further and further south down to Invercargill, which is right on the edge of New Zealand. And here's one that I haven't published yet either of what was happening in the sky. And And also, I should tell you that, when you're standing there, you do see these colors, but they're not as intense. Now, I didn't add to the intensity really in the post-processing. You'll see how I do this. It's not like I paint, with a paintbrush tool, or I use a gradient to add color. I don't do any of that. These are all the real colors. But what happens is when you open your shutter for 30 seconds, a lot of these colors become a little bit more intense on your shutter. So you can't see this while you're out there with the naked eye, but it looks better when you keep your shutter open for 30 seconds, of course. And I just think it's prettier, so I went with this. Okay, now, I'm going to share my Lightroom. Let me unscreen share that. Share my, let me go to desktop here. Now let me screen share my desktop. If you guys happen to have questions too, just let me know. Okay.
Are you shooting those raw, or are you shooting JPEGs on those?
No, raw. Jared, come on.
Jeez,
I'm just asking. I don't know.
Yeah.
Holy hell, Jared.
Yeah. If you have questions, please ask.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah, I don't mean to intimidate people from asking questions with that response, but...
I'm just curious. I never knew if because, you see people doing HDR and they take 7 JPEG shots, and you never know if... I like to hear that's how you're doing it.
You struck a raw nerve.
I definitely shoot raw. Even I always shoot raw, even HDRs. Okay, so can you guys see my screen?
Yep. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so as Jared knows, this is a raw photo, and oftentimes you'll notice that, like on the back of the camera, it looks more vibrant than when you actually pull it in the Lightroom, because you're just seeing the raw. It's completely unadjusted, and that's the way raw files work. Is that they're meant to be played with, right? They just come out very, very flatly lit. Everything is incredibly average, and frankly, it's often quite dull, especially if you used to shoot JPEG. That automatically cranks up the contrast and the saturation and all this kind of stuff. So don't be alarmed if you come back and your photo looks very plain, because I think when you're out there shooting, it's just sort of the beginning. And then the real fun comes here inside Lightroom. All right. So I'm going to click on my develop module up here.
You may want to share what the exposure for that was before you start.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So this was shot at 1600 ISO. Okay. I used a Nikon D800.
Really?
I used a 14 to 24 millimeter lens, and this was shot at 15 millimeter. It was shot at 2.8. Okay. You should, when you shoot these kind of shots, you should stay as wide open as possible and just focus on infinity. And it was a 30-second exposure. Wide open. That's right.
Why? Now, can I ask why? Because, if you're shooting fireworks, a lot of people say anywhere between 8 and 16. So what's the difference when you're shooting these things? And I'm just asking out of curiosity.
When you say between 8 and 16, do you mean f-stop or shutter speed?
F16.
Yes.
So I'm just curious as the mentality between why you would shoot this type of thing at 2.8.
Well, because I think that you want to get as much light into the camera over that 30 seconds as possible.
Okay.
And
you want me to answer that?
Well, yes. Go ahead. You give your answer.
All right. So there are two things that you want to look for when you're doing star trails or raw shots. The shorter the shutter speed, the sharper the stars will appear because of the rotation of the Earth. So what you want to do is you want to keep the shutter speed as short as possible, ISO as low as possible. And so to gather light as much as possible, you want to shoot as wide open as possible.
And in this case, because the stars are so far away, and a wider aperture is sufficient to capture, all the depth you need, certainly. And so it's not necessary to have a narrower aperture for that.
Yes,
Makes sense?
All right. Moving on. I'll try to keep this kind of speedy here. So here's our raw file, okay? And here's one thing that's kind of fascinating, actually, is that the white balance. That's a good question. What should your white balance be? Well, I'll show you in the end. I'm going to rock your world. I'll change the white balance after we process this, and you'll see how different the photo is. But right now, I just had it sort of set in auto, and of course, that's the beauty of RAW. You can always change the white balance later, which we'll do at the very end. Okay, so these are some mountains here. Okay, these are some mountains right here in Queenstown, and one thing that I'll often do when I start processing a photo is I'll drop down the highlights and increase the shadows a little bit. I'm just trying to get some of the snow up on the mountains, okay? So that'll brighten everything up a little bit. One of the most potent sliders for these star shots is contrast. So if you amp this up, it really makes those colors pop out even more, the lights and such. This clarity slider, if you're in Lightroom 4, is amazing. It really gives a lot of punch to everything. Okay, and often I won't slide up the saturation at all, but I might move up the vibrance just a little bit. Okay, so what's the hotkey to turn off all my adjustments and make them happen again?
The slash thing over there?
Yeah,
above the return.
Backslash? Yeah, there we go. So that's before I just did that and after.
Ding. Couple points.
Thank you. 2 points for Jared. He knows his Lightroom.
No, not really.
So now the noise, as you guys might expect, is quite bad. But you can also remember that 99% of your photos, people are only going to look at on Facebook and Google Plus and Flickr. 99% of people don't zoom in. So they're never going to see the noise. You don't really have to worry about it. But you will get some people that get in there and complain. And if those complaints bother you, it's easy enough to adjust some of it. But down here, and again, I know this is quite elementary to all the guests that are in the Hangout, but I'm just showing this to people that may not know. Anyway, here's under detail, the detail panel. There's this thing called noise reduction. Okay, it starts all the way to the left. Just slide that guy up, and it will make a lot of difference in your photo. It'll get rid of a lot of that noise. You'll still see some when you zoom in, but not nearly as bad as it was before. Okay. So that helps quite a bit. And you can also play with some of these other ones to really get the noise down. Every photo is a little different. These night photos are especially bad. All right. So there's some of the big changes that really made it much more potent to me.
Hey, Trey, are you
can also
locked
increase
in?
the exposure here a little bit.
Trey, are you locked into yourself on the Hangout?
Sorry. I'm not locked into myself. Thank you for that. I'm still locked into Jay. You guys. I was locked into Jay and Varina. Everyone missed my hot tip. Okay, sorry. Let me go back in. I'll show that one more time. I apologize. Jay, I hope you're doing something entertaining that whole time.
Yeah.
We were juggling.
How is that?
Yeah.
I hope you were doing some pantomime of Lightroom.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, anyway, everybody, I apologize for my broadcast foible there. But here, underneath the detail panel, is where you can adjust the noise reduction, okay? And that helps quite a bit. All right, so once again, we'll look at the before and the after. It really makes it pop quite a bit. Now, here we go. Watch this. I'm going to rock your world with a little white balance shift. And I figured this out, again, by accident, because I was looking at the back of Stefan's camera, who was out shooting with me, and his colors were coming out totally different. I said, where are you getting those colors? And then we looked at his white balance, and he was set to flash. So if I take this and I move it to flash, all right, get ready. Nothing. Oh, there it goes. Okay. So as you can see, it's like quite orange and different looking, and some of the reds are more intense in a different way. And anyway, as you change it around, you'll get all kinds of different results. If we really change the K on it and go to a tungsten, you'll get some extremely different results as well. You get something very blue and purpley, and you know, when you're out there, it kind of makes you wonder what is white in these situations. It's not like you can hold up a card or anything. So usually I just leave it in the as shot. But in a way, you can make an argument that most of these white balances are okay, and that's sort of one of the big things in Lightroom. Let me unscreen share here as I get momentarily philosophical. That's one of these big things about Lightroom, is that I think it kind of gives you a chance to you go out and you take the photo, and of course you get to choose the composition and the framing and the subject matter. But then you get back into Lightroom and you can kind of put your own personality into it. So it's whatever you feel like at the time. There's a little bit of how-to action for you. Okay, enough of that. Let's now jump around and do our Google Plus recommendations of some people that we found that we think are follow-licious. Of course, I hope everyone circles everyone that's here in this given Hangout, and we will, of course, replay the Hangout and plus mention everybody, not just in the Hangout, but people that we're about to discover for you. I'll go last. Who wants to go first? Jared wants to go.
I like going first. I used to do that in school all the time just to get it out of the way, because if you go first, you kind of you think that they maybe take it easier on you or something. That was my mentality in school. Anyway, my buddy Adam Lerner, he and I have been friends for the past almost year and a half now, and he's a New York Brooklyn-based photographer, doing a lot of fashion now, but he does a lot of street photography, which isn't personally my favorite thing in the world, but he's capturing some really interesting things, enjoying his X100, just going out there and just mixing it up. And he's another guy that's been beating the crap out of the pavement to find his way as a photographer over the past couple of years to start to get some of these really good gigs just by putting himself in places to be successful. So Adam Lerner, you can see him on my channel sometimes, and yeah.
All right, very cool. Thank you.
Elmo's been doing some good photos. They come out a little red.
Okay.
Come on, guys, wake up! Elmo.
I know Elmo.
God. I know
I have
Elmo.
3 kids. So, all right, who wants? I'll go next. All right, I'm going to share my screen and show this guy off. This guy's really cool. You guys should know him. Okay, let me share my screen. This is a gentleman named Ian Thomas. All right, let me find this thing. Okay. Whoa, oh, so big. Okay. This is Ian Thomas. All right. He is in my very secretive, great photographer circle. Okay. Now, this guy's amazing. I always like, I like all kinds of photography, right? Even though I don't do much black and white photography, I do love it. This guy's really good. He does a little bit of everything. Anyway, that's plus Ian Thomas. Great for inspiration, all kinds of cool stuff going on. Yeah, he's just, I do follow about 1,000 people on Google Plus, and it's kind of hit and miss sometimes, right? You never know. But that's why I made this special circle called Great Photographers, so that if I know I don't have any time to mess around, I just want to see awesome stuff, I go to this circle, and he's in there for sure. Okay, that's my find. Let me unscreen share, and let's go with...
I'll go.
Jay and Varina.
All right, so here's mine. This is... here, wait, let me share my screen here.
Okay.
There it comes. Oh, hold on. There it is. So this is Michael Bonocore. He's a guy we met in Nicaragua, and he has a beautiful collection of images, not just landscape photography, but people and all kinds of other stuff too. Some of his photos from the trip were just gorgeous. I mean, you can see this shot here was one of my personal favorites. I think it was one of all of our favorites. The eyes on this little boy are just gorgeous. But so there he is, Michael Bonocore. Good guy.
Michael is cool. It's a small world. I was out shooting the Giants game in San Francisco with Tom, and then Michael just walked right up to me and said, "Hey, what's going on?" Like, well,
yeah.
What? Weird. 5 billion people on Earth, and you run into these guys over and over again. Okay.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy, really outgoing, and a lot of fun to hang out with.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. Okay, Fred. You're last.
I'm last. Okay. I have a friend of mine, actually. Let me do my little screen share if I can pull him up here. Let's see.
all reading your whiteboard back there, by the way. We see it. Something that says iOS apps, and underneath it, there's a dash.
Damn it. Damn you, whiteboard. Okay.
Watch it.
All right. So this is Brent Schnarr. He's a friend of mine, and he's an amazing photographer. First of all, this is not his job. He works at the Pixel Corps with Alex Lindsay and helps with all sorts of technical stuff. And every now and then we will be like working together, and he'll show me some shots on his iPhone, and I'm like, dude, seriously? So I thought I would share them with you guys. So he recently went on a trip to Africa and shot these shots. Now, this is not a zoo. This is in Africa, and he just, he invests in awesome gear, and he's just one of those people that just, he's not shooting to make money. He's not putting this stuff on stock. He barely blogs it. He's just shooting this stuff for himself, and he just does some amazing work. I mean, like, look at this one. Load. Yeah, look at that one. I mean, he's just going out there and shooting for the love of it. And like, whenever he shows me these images, I'm like, okay, what are you doing with these? Are you training people? Are you making posters or what? He's like, yeah, one day maybe I'll print something. I don't know. But right now I'm just having fun, It's like, and it's amazing. I mean, he shoots the stuff that he comes back with is more impressive than a lot of stuff that I see from people that are out doing workshops and that sort of thing. So I thought I would share some of this stuff, and hopefully people will circle him and inspire him to, maybe do some other stuff online other than just working all the time. So that's it. Brent Schnarr is the guy's name.
All right. Excellent.
Nice. Gorgeous work.
Well, I got some people. Before we say goodbye, people wanted to see out the window. Let me show you. We come at the camera and spin it around. Open this up. There it is out there. Adjust.
Nice.
We're here in the Kamanaj Villas still. I don't live in this place. We're moving in about a week into another place. So I've just been staying here.
Do the trees walk?
What?
Yeah.
Do the trees walk?
Exactly, right?
Yeah. This is where the end server over here. It is beautiful out here. I don't know if you can tell or not, but that's an old steamship that crosses the lake several times a day.
That is really cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
We should just go there instead of Hawaii in the winter. Trey's guest house will be ready.
I love that. Everyone there, Trey, has pointy ears, right? Pretty much.
No, the only hobbits around here are my two kids. I'm sorry,
I'm pretty sure it was the elves that had pointy ears, not the hobbits. That was big hairy feet.
Oh, big hairy feet, yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we'll wrap it up now. Thanks again so much, everyone, for coming. Thank you, Fred. Thank you, Jared. Thank you, Keith. Thank you, Dave, for everything. Thanks, Tony, and thanks, Jay and Varina. You guys are all awesome. I'm happy everyone got a chance to know you and see your work. And now comes the end when we all wave goodbye from our little boxes. So goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
It's like the dating game.
Bye, guys.
See you later.